Hi, I'm your host, Jurgen Strauss from Innova.buzz, and I'm really excited to welcome to the Innova.buzz podcast today from Asheville in North Carolina, Robert Lee Camp, who's a master of the Cards of Destiny system. He's also a software developer and a visionary who has spent 35 years showing people how to see the mathematical blueprint of their lives. So, fascinating topic today. Welcome to the Innova.buzz podcast, Robert. It's a great privilege to have you as my guest.
Thank you, Jorgen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now,
Thank
before
you.
we dive in, just a quick note for our listeners. This is a candid conversation where we explore how remarkable guests just like Robert build human connection and create impact. We look at the big picture, share actionable insights and stories, and wrap up with our signature buzz round. You'll find all the resources and highlights in the show notes, as always. Robert, I'm looking forward to our conversation today. I find it fascinating how you look at a standard deck of cards and see a precision clockwork that mirrors our human journey. Yet, at the same time, in today's world, you're keeping a keen eye on the horizon of the AI revolution, which is something that I'm also doing with perhaps mixed feelings sometimes, with awe at times, but also with caution at others. So let's begin with can you share some more about what drives you in this mission to show people their own code and what impact you aim to make in the world?
I started out studying astrology, and it was just me by myself and going to the bookstore and buying a book here or there. I had heard, I was living in a community at the time, and I heard that one of the ladies there did astrological readings. And when I heard that, it just it did something to me. I had never conceived of I had never at that point in my life, I never conceived of somebody giving an astrological reading. So I was so taken with that idea that I immediately ran down to a local bookstore and picked out a book on astrology and started reading it. And it just fascinated me. I don't know why, I just took to it so quickly. And I followed that. And within a year or so, I was doing readings for people and charging them money. And then a friend of my wife at the time introduced me to this book that was written in the 1940s called Sacred Symbols of the Ancients uh, by this pair of ladies. And it was all about the card system, the playing cards and their significance. And she said, look up your birthday and see what card you are and read about your card in the chapter. And I did. And it just blew me away for several reasons. Number one, it didn't ask for the time or place of birth or even the year. All it needed was my month and my day. And it was so accurate about my life. And then I realized there's 8 birthdays that have my same card. I was like, how is this possible? How is it possible that 8 separate birthdays, different sun signs and everything, could all could have this such an accurate reading, but mine was totally accurate. So it just again, it was like when I first was introduced to astrology, I just got so taken with it. And I searched and searched for books, and I couldn't find any except for that one book. And eventually that led me to meeting my teacher who lived in LA. I moved to LA a couple years later, and there was a man there who was teaching classes, and I took classes with him, and that's what got me going
Mm.
there.
All right. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I guess one of the things that struck me as you were describing that, our date of birth, so not the year, but just the month and the day, is assigned to a specific card, and there's eight
Yes,
different birthdays throughout the
that
year
have
that
my
have the
particular
same
card.
card, or is that not?
There are some cards that only
Oh,
have
right.
one
Okay.
birthday, and others have 12 birthdays. There's 4 cards that have 12, one each month. And so it's done by a mathematical formula, how it's determined. And the whole system is
Mm.
mathematical, you know. So like people don't really realize the deck of cards is such a representation of the Earth's
Yeah.
cycles, you know. They just take it for granted. Oh, this is we play rummy, we play poker, we play whatever, war or whatever you want to play. These symbols have been around for so long that every major ancient civilization claims to have invented them. So the first book that was ever published about the science behind the cards, which was in 1894, he said that tells you that a civilization much older than all these civilizations actually originated the cards. And he said it was from Atlantis 20,000 years ago. You know, we can't prove that or disprove it, but this deck of cards, it's only on planet Earth, you know, because you add up the numerical value of every card in the deck and you get 365. I mean, there's no other card system that even has that. That is it,
Mm.
you know, 52 weeks, 52 cards, 13 cards in every suit, 13 lunar cycles every year. It just goes on
Yeah.
and on and
Well,
on,
let's come
you
back
know.
to the mathematical concepts in a little while, but I just want to dig a little bit deeper with this day and month of birth idea. So some cards have 12 birthdays throughout the year assigned to them. Some have one, and there's a range in between. If I'm understanding this correctly, and yeah, explain to us if I'm wrong, then everyone who has my birthday, regardless of what year they're born. So if a baby's born on my day and month of birth this year, their
Birthday.
destiny, as predicted by the cards, is the same as mine.
It's not exactly the same, but it is. You will have traits that are similar in every single case. There'll be some similarities that are striking about you and whatever
Mm,
other person,
okay.
you know. I mean, every card in the deck has a a rainbow, let's say, of vibrations that it can express under. It has the highest vibration of the card and it has the lowest. And then in between those two are many different variations. Okay. So, and there's no card that's better than any other card. Okay. They all have a high side and they all have a low side. So you might end up like I had a relationship once with a woman that was my same birthday. She was a different year, but we had the same birthday. Well, she just cried a lot, you know? And I don't cry, but she cried all the time. And I was like, what's going on here? What's this mirror for me? You know, that she's always crying and always so emotional. And I'm not. I didn't understand it all back then, you know.
Mm,
So there's room for
okay.
variety
Yeah,
there. There's room for
got it.
variety.
Um,
I mean, not everybody born on Bill Gates's birthday
billionaire.
is
Yeah,
going to be a billionaire.
yeah.
Oh,
All right. I guess there's a couple of things I'm curious about, and maybe we can leave the maths aside for a moment. But the one thing I'm curious about, because you kind of raised, or there was a thought that came up in my mind that bubbled up as you were describing the people that studied the background of the cards and so on, and that was uh, I'd never really given any thought to where do these cards come from. I mean, who came up with this card system where there are, I don't know how many games there are you can play with cards. I mean, there's poker, as you mentioned. There's 500. We used to play 500 at university all the time. There's solo as another variant of that. There's bridge, and all
hundreds of
kinds of
games
things, and it's the
and new
same
ones
card deck. Who
and new
Yeah,
ones
exactly.
being
So who
invented every
who
year.
came up
New
with
games.
this kind of card deck initially, and what was the significance of the different cards? Now, here's the other thing it raised for me. So I'm actually German, and in the south of Germany, there's a couple of card games that we play, and it's a totally different card deck. Now, I don't recall how many
Really?
cards are in that card deck. It may well be the same number of cards. I'm going to have to go and check after we've had this conversation. but it is a totally different card deck. So I guess it prompts me to kind of ask two questions. First of all, how far back you mentioned uh, that this goes back 20,000 years, um, although we're not sure. But what have we learnt from the people who've studied the traditional card deck, the 52 cards, and how they came about and what the significance is and how they map to kind of some mathematical models. And also, have those people looked at other card decks? Because I'm imagining that there are probably other card decks around in different cultures and different countries that have different card games and perhaps different decks.
Sure, sure. Well, there's tarot cards, um, which and there's a store in Asheville where I used to live, and he collects tarot decks. He had a whole wall, like 5 feet high, with different tarot decks that he's collected. So there's hundreds of tarot decks. Now, tarot is completely different than the regular playing cards. Tarot has the major arcana, which is taken from the Tree of Life. There's these cards which are not in a regular deck of cards. There's a king, there's a queen, there's a knight, and there's a page. So in the regular deck of cards, there's only either a knight or a page. And it's really more of a page, actually.
Mm.
The jack will be more of a page in the regular deck of cards. It doesn't have that extra face card there. And the tarot deck doesn't match the calendar in any way. There's no correlation between the tarot deck, any tarot deck, and on the calendar that we live under. See, this is the only deck. Now, if another deck, a lot of people have made cards, they put different faces on them. They keep the same numbers of cards and so forth, but they put like celebrities on them or different, people or whatever on the card deck. But if they've retained the number and the suits and everything, then it's the same. It's the same.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Just trying to remember and recall what these card decks. It's you may know it because I know it. I have come across it in the US Pinochle, which we used to play when I was a child,
Oh,
and I think my
oh,
recollection
oh.
is that there's an Ace, King, Queen, Jack, 10, and 7, and the four suits,
I
and
think
then
what they do,
there's
I
two.
think what they do
There's
is they
two
take
of each.
I think they make a deck out of I think they make pinnacle decks out of a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah.
decks of regular
Because there's
cards
two
and
of each.
take
There's
some
two of
cards
each.
out
Yeah.
and double up.
So there's two
Yeah,
aces, two kings of
yeah,
each suit. But that
yeah,
totals to
yeah.
48. And
No, that's not going to
yeah,
be the same as the regular deck of playing cards at all. You know, and anything other than the original deck. As a matter of fact, the man that wrote the first book, his name was Only Richmond. He said card manufacturers throughout the ages have put different faces and different designs on the deck of cards. And he says no one buys them. No one buys them. So they discontinue them. Because he said the cards, the original deck has a mystic potency about it to maintain the symbolism. There's symbolism in all those face cards, what they're holding in their hand, roses, the clover, the sword, the axe, and so forth. These symbols all had meaning, but it's lost to antiquity. Nobody knows. Some people do know, but most, card manufacturers don't even know. They don't even know why the ace of spades is always bigger. You know, the ace of spades is always big and elaborate and ornate. You ask them, they'll just say, that's
yeah.
how we've always done it. The reason it's bigger and elaborate is because the ace of spades is the one card in the whole deck that is the symbol for the entire system of the cards. The science of the cards, its symbol is the ace of spades. It means secrets. It means secrets that are hidden in plain sight. Does that make? I'm
Yeah,
not sure
yeah.
if that makes any sense, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense there. It's the biggest card then if it's the kind of the
yeah. But the manufacturers
mm,
don't even know why they do it. They don't know, but they
yeah,
do it that way every time. You know, it's so funny.
yeah.
I find it
So you've
interesting.
talked about the cards as a mirror for, I guess, mirror for our personality. I guess in some ways, um,
Yeah.
it parallels what you were mentioning earlier about horoscope readings. There's some level of predictivity that can be read out of those. So, talk to us a little bit more about what's behind that, what's some of the science and maths behind that came out of these studies that you referred to earlier.
Mm, I started out with astrology, and then I learned the cards, and I kept them separate for a long time. But then I began to see these patterns emerge between the two, you know, and I've gotten to the point now where if I know your birthday and I know what card you are, I can predict pretty well what you're going to see in your astrological chart, what kind of planetary aspects you will have in your astrological chart, just because of what I know of the cards. Because even the cards, they're ruled by astrological influences. Uh, I don't know if I showed you that the life and spiritual spread. Um, let's see here. Is it okay if I share
Sure,
a picture
sure.
of
Go
that or
ahead.
not? Okay, let's see if I can find this one. Oh, here, where it is. Here we go. Um, it's not showing. It's not showing that window. Oh, I think it only shows you in. Oh, here we go. Window. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Yep,
Okay, can
yep.
you see this? Okay, so this is each side has a full deck of cards. In the left side, the spiritual spread, they're in perfect order. If you find the ace of hearts, it's in the upper right hand corner, and you go from right to left, you'll go right through the hearts, and then through the clubs, then the diamonds, and then the spades, and you'll end up with the king of spades on the very top.
Mhm.
See that? Now, each of these lines and each of these rows is governed by a planet. And these are the planetary symbols. We have Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, both for the lines and for the columns. Okay. So, for example, the King of Clubs person, which is one of the most common cards in the deck, they are in the Uranus line and they're also in the Uranus column. Uranus line and Uranus column. So, any King of Clubs you meet, they're going to have a very strong Aquarian, Uranus, or 11th house influences in their chart because it's the double Uranus card of the entire deck. Okay. And this is why King of Clubs people can't speak untruth. They have to speak the truth because Uranus is like the I know sign. And it's like, okay. And it's a fixed sign. It's the sign that Mercury is in its highest sign is Aquarius. Okay. So those people, they know something. It's not just a mental thing. I remember something. It's like they know it with their entire body, their entire spirit. So Aquarius, you'll find in any King of Clubs, and there's a lot of them out there. I mean, John Lennon was King of Clubs. Uh, Paul McCartney is a Queen of Clubs. Uh, they will have strong Uranus aspects in their chart. They will not let anybody stop them from expressing who they really are. They just will not allow it. And they'll be honest. They'll be perfectly honest. So these two spreads are where the entire system originates from. And I don't want to, it'll be too complicated to explain it, but we live our life in the life spread. Over there is the cards close to ours, and in front of our card are the cards that describe what our life's karma is. Just like the planets in a zodiac, just like the planets in the houses and the signs in a zodiac.
Okay, that's fascinating. And I mean, it seems to me that the astrology, the kind of science, if you like, of astrology, has been mapped onto these cards
Yeah,
as a
it's
mathematical
part of it.
model. Yeah. So the mm,
It's part of it. It's there's in the system, your year starts on your birthday, and you have 7 periods of the year starting on your birthday. First one is Mercury, second is Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Each one is 52 days long. Remember 52? Number of weeks in a year. It's also the number of days in each of your 52-day periods of the year. So it's a combination really of the symbolism of the cards and astrology. Astrology is
yeah.
throughout it, but not the same way. Not like houses and signs, just the planetary energies
I've always
alone.
wondered. I mean, this, astrology. There's a lot of argument whether it is a science or not, um, but it certainly is based on
Sure.
a lot of scientific um, background. But I've always wondered because there's been this debate over the last 15 maybe years whether Pluto is actually a planet or not, and I think it was downgraded from a planet to um, something else. I can't remember what they called it, and
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think it's been
yeah,
reinstated
yeah.
again to a planet. And then there's also been speculation that there might be another body further out than Pluto from the sun that is part of our solar system, and there's arguments about is that another planet or is it just another body? Because obviously there's lots of rocks and debris and stuff floating around the sun as well that's in within our solar system that we can't really consider planets. Um, given given some level of uncertainty about the I don't know what you call that science. I guess it's the geography of space, if you like, or the geography of our solar system. Given that uncertainty, how does that play
I mean,
into astrology? And is there kind of an evolving understanding of whether there's other factors that perhaps are ignored from time to time or need to be updated?
scientists can't accept. There's no room in science to accept anything like astrology. It just doesn't. It'll probably never happen that science will acknowledge astrology, even though throughout history, for thousands and thousands of years, everybody knew astrology. Everybody relied on astrology. Even today in India, before you get married, they check you. Everybody has a family astrologer, and they check your aspects out with your potential mate. They help you select a mate because they know better. So it's in our we think we know everything world, the scientists and stuff and theories and all this stuff. There's no room for to accept astrology, but in ancient times it was never in doubt. It was never in doubt. And they knew what was going to happen. They knew what was happening and what was going to happen. They knew the signs and portents, what to look for as a reflection of what's coming. Like, a comet was always a bad thing in ancient times. When a comet appears, somebody was going to really have something bad happen to them, whether it was losing a war or a death of a king or something like that. It was always a bad omen in ancient times. Uh, but we've lost so much of that now, you know. We've lost so much of the ancient culture that nobody really gives it any credence. But you can show me you can give me the birthday and time and place of a baby and her parents or his parents. And I can tell you before they're even born or the day after they're born, I can tell you everything about their life. I can tell you how they're going to get along with their parents. I can tell you what kind of personality they're going to have. I can tell you what they're going to be good at, what they're going to have difficulty with, is the father going to leave or not. I can tell you all these things from looking at that child's astrological chart and their cards. They both tell the same story. So I use them both together. It's very,
Mm.
very helpful to use them both.
Okay. Well, one of the things I always wondered about and I guess, there's astrological readings from people like you that would say, I've studied this and as you have for 35 years, and I'm serious about my belief in this and my understanding of it. And then there's the astrological readings that you might read in, well, it used to be the newspaper, but today I'm not sure where you'd go to find those ones,
Right.
which typically it'd be the stereotypical one would be, today you're going to meet a tall, dark, attractive stranger and your life will change forever. The I always considered that type of prediction as almost self-programming. If you took that on board and believed that, I mean, the
Right.
example of the
Right.
tall, dark,
Sure.
handsome, or attractive stranger, we all interact with other people, right? Now, if I'm on the lookout for a tall, dark, attractive stranger, I'm sure that there will be one that crosses my path today. And then if I'm open to interacting with them, it
Possibly.
may or
Yeah.
may not lead somewhere. I say, yes, it's right. My horoscope was right. What do you say to
That's
that?
right.
So that some of those things are that if we take them on board, we basically pre-program ourselves to. Um,
Yeah, but even if you program yourself, it's not going to come true the way they say it. I guarantee it. It is so it is so it's impossible really to take a certain sun sign because they'll talk about, well, if you're this sun sign, this will happen to you and so forth. Okay, this is people that are born within the 30-day period of the year, and it could be any year, you know. So to say something about a specific day of the year for that many different birthdays, it's not possible. It's impossible to come up with something that actually is truthful or valid. It's all just made up. It's completely made up. You know, it is completely made up. I don't give it any validation at all. And yeah, if you're a person that, you really want something to happen and they tell you, oh, you're going to meet this person. Well, good for you. Good luck with that. It's not going to happen to the other 10 million people with your birthday. I can tell you that.
all right. Well, one of the other things um, that I've always been fascinated with astrology from the point of view of it's interesting stuff, and wouldn't it be good to know what's going to happen tomorrow? I mean, if I know which share price is going to double tomorrow, then I can make a lot of money, right? So predicting the future, I guess we all have these visions of if I know what's going to happen tomorrow. One of the things I kind of studied a lot because I had a lot of interaction with other cultures was the Chinese horoscopes. And I actually found the Chinese horoscopes very fascinating and in combination with the Western ones, which are sort of based on the 12 signs of the zodiac. How do you integrate that, if at all, into the systems that you use?
Oh, Chinese has a very specific, and if you get a genuine Chinese astrology reading,
Mm.
it's very in depth. It's like getting an astrological reading of regular Western astrology or Hindu. The Hindu astrology is super, super amazing. Um, but you have to keep them separate from each other because they're taking a slightly different approach to astrology. For example, in Hindu astrology, Vedic astrology, they call it, everything is 22 degrees less than it is in your normal chart. So like if your sun is like there's 30 degrees in a sign. Let's say your sun is 19 degrees of your sun sign. Okay. Well, it's going to be the previous sun sign in Vedic. It's not going to be the same sun sign. If you're a Leo, it's going to be a Cancer. If you're a Cancer, it's going to be what is it? Virgo or Taurus, whatever. But it's not going to be the same. But they interpret it differently. Their ways of interpreting are completely different than Western astrology, and that's true for Chinese astrology as well. I had a really good Chinese astrology reading once at a show, and I was blown away by how much there was to it, I mean, we go into a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'm a
Yeah.
horse or I'm a monkey, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's as far as I ever got with that, right? But when they do it, it's very involved. and it's
Mm.
it's very accurate too if it's being done by the right
Yeah,
person.
well, the
You know,
Chinese ones
the
has
best
several
reading,
levels, right? So, I mean, I know I'm a dragon, but
yes,
also then there's earth, fire, water, and wind, and I'm a fire dragon, and the fire dragon
right.
is very different to an earth dragon or a water dragon or, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I mean, the best reading I've ever gotten in my whole life was a Vedic astrology reading. And this guy, he told me things. He started from my birth and told me things that happened in my childhood that I had completely forgotten. And he went right through my childhood, year by year, and told me all these things that had happened. And I was like, I was just, you know, and then he told me about the present and the future. But after he had talked about my childhood, I was ready to believe anything he said because everything he said was just absolutely stunningly right on the mark, you know. So the kind of readings I do personally are not like that at all. Vedic astrology and Chinese, I think too, is they're very practical. You know, like they'll say something like, "Well, you're going to have two kids, you're going to get married twice, you're going to die when you're this age, and so forth." You know, I do more um, psychological
Mm.
counseling with astrology. You know, looking at our inner issues that we have and what is really underneath those, so we can heal those parts of ourselves and have more happiness and so forth in
Mm.
our life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's a fascinating approach, and I know there's lots of different applications that you where you actually use those. What I did want to do though was because I mentioned earlier that you are exploring AI and you're kind of looking at how does the world of AI help you to understand this better or correlate all the information you're bringing together in a way that can then help people to dig deeper into their own psyche and perhaps address barriers that they're facing so that they can overcome those more easily with less trauma or whatever. Talk to us a little bit about how AI fits into what you're doing and how you're making sure it's helping with the mathematics and the data collation, but still um, leaving
Yeah.
you room to have that human connection element.
Well, they already have websites up now that do astrological readings using AI. I think it's actually called astrology.ai. I'm not sure, but um, it's only a matter of time until somebody takes this card science and does that with an AI. So I decided that I'm going to do it. I'm going to teach the AI to do readings the way I would do a reading. That's the goal. So that you could sit down and have a conversation with AI and say, you know, I'm really concerned about my next 2 years. What do you think? Is this business deal going to go through? Or am I going to sell my house? Or am I going to get divorced? You know, and the AI will hopefully do what I would do. It will look to to the resources and make a reasonable prediction for the person. That's the goal. We'll have to see. There's a lot of unknown right now in actually what AI can do. I still have doubts about whether AI can actually think because I've given it problems before and it doesn't reason. It's not reasonable. It makes mistakes with very simple stuff. You know, I'm like, here it is. Just read it back to me. Got it wrong again.
Yes,
But my Yeah, but my lead programmer is doing the work of 5 people now using AI to help him write code. It's amazing. As a tool, he's able to do like a whole team's worth of work
mm,
all by himself. And he's just so when I talk to him, he gets so excited when
yeah,
I can see in his face. He's so excited about how much work he's getting done and how much it's helping him. And but see, he has the knowledge of programming that he
yeah,
knows
yeah.
how to get what he wants from the AI. And I think that's a science. I think that's an art
Mm.
in itself, you know.
Yes, I had to laugh when you said it gets things wrong. I asked an AI yesterday, just take this YouTube video and write me a summary from it, and I thought that was a pretty straightforward request, and I've done it before
Yeah.
and got some really good results. And I think, well, there's a 1.5 hour YouTube video. I don't need to spend an hour and a half watching this. I'll get it summarized. And it came back, and I'd
Yeah.
actually watched a small section of the video. So when the summary came back totally wrong, I mean, I think it even referred to a different video at the start. So I knew straight away this is not right. And I went back and I said, yeah,
You have
yeah.
to keep an
And
eye
I
on
went
it.
back and I said, no, this is not right. Can you stick to the video I've given you the link for? And then it came back and I said, no, it's still not right. And eventually I said, this is all BS. I said to the AI, and it said, I understand your frustration. And I said, well, what are you doing? Are you hallucinating, or are you looking at a different video? And I said, what do I need to say to you to limit you to only this video? And then it actually came back and said, well, here's what you should be asking. And there was just one little word there or something that I had to add to my prompt. But
Ma-
yes,
And
well, I
that
did
made all
for
the
now.
difference that
But
you
I
had that
thought
word
I'd
in
I
there.
thought I'd nailed it down
Yeah.
beforehand because I've used this prompt before. So it's like you say, it does make mistakes. It can't think for itself. Although I've got a feeling that sometimes it does think for itself, but not in any constructive way.
Yeah, the verdict's not in yet, but now we have this new
Yeah,
word, hallucinate. The AI is hallucinating. That's kind of a
yeah,
lame word, I think, for it that it screwed up big time. Like totally got it wrong and was totally convinced that it was right.
yes. It's kind of it is a lame word, isn't it? I mean, I could say, oh, sorry, I was hallucinating, rather than, no, I completely messed
Yeah,
this up.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They should come up with a new word. I think that was one of their PR teams came up with that
fantastic.
expression. We're gonna use the word hallucinate. People love that word.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think, we've delved into a lot of this, and I think there's a lot more obviously underpinning this whole base of knowledge and the skills that you've built up over your 35 years. But I'd love to leave this for people to dig into your website and learn some more. I think now, given the time, it's a good time to move on to the buzz, our innovation round. And it's the same three questions I ask of every guest. Hopefully, we'll uncover a key piece of knowledge, a value, or an attitude that guides you. So, short, punchy answers, whatever comes to mind. You ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not. Yes,
And the
I'm ready.
focus
I guess
is
I am.
around AI. I should have mentioned that as well. So, so
Okay.
the first
Okay.
one's on
Okay. Great.
innovation. What's the most innovative way you've seen AI used to strengthen human relationships?
Well, I don't know about strengthening relationships. Actually, I would say it's been a godsend to some people in certain lines of work at certain times. And of course, if they're getting a lot of work done, they're happier, so they would be happier in their relationship. But I haven't seen any direct thing with
Mm.
relationships
Yeah, well,
myself.
that's interesting. I mean, if they're happier, yeah, that certainly impacts relationships. Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, come on, I got so much done today, dear.
All right.
I'm feeling good. I'm gonna go party it tonight.
But,
Anyway, go
based
ahead.
on your experience, what's the best thing you've done to integrate AI in your work and in a way that sort of builds those human relationships?
Well, I was having a lot of trouble with a software project I was working on, and I knew that my code wasn't efficient. And so I asked AI to look at it, and it absolutely helped the quality of my code. And it streamlined the program to such an extent that it was now performing the way it should be, and not the way that it was, which was way too slow before. So that was like the best use of AI that I've used, other than just looking up and finding stuff on the internet. I use it all every day. I'd search. I'm always searching with AI, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful with computers and software and different things, and just it has access to all the how-to manuals of everything, every product on earth. So you can say, how do I set up this thing? How do I get to this? And it'll just tell you right there.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
And
that
if you
about it. It's
say, give
great.
me the step by step instructions for dummies, it also, the this menu item is the first one on the left at the top. And so it really does handhold you through each step.
Make sure your computer's turned on,
Yes.
like
Yes.
that
I
kind of
was
stuff.
doing some research with it the other day um, in an area that was a government regulation thing that was very complex and really, even though it explained things to me, I'm really struggling to understand this. And then I said, "Can you give me the for dummies version?" And that really broke it down and made it much more
Oh, wow.
understandable.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, AI, if anything,
Mm.
is more patient than we are.
Yeah.
It'll take its time, and it'll tell you everything, and it'll tell you more than once. If you need to hear it 100 times,
Yeah.
it's happy to do it.
Excellent.
So
All
that's
right. Well,
good.
in this age of AI, what do you think is the number one skill we need to be developing going forward? Something that can help us differentiate ourselves from, particularly in business, perhaps from the norm.
Well, I think I I don't know if you're a creative person. I'm a pretty creative person. Um, I find that AI is this great assistant that will help you get your ideas into form much quicker and even better. I play music in a band here part time, and I had this song that I wrote a long time ago, but I only have one verse for this song. And I said, here's the verse I have. Can you come up with a couple more verses for me? Oh my God, he came up with some great verses. And it took like the intent in the verse that I had done and just transfer that over into the rest of the song. And it was great. It was fantastic. I
Yeah.
was like, I couldn't have done
It's pretty
better.
impressive. Yeah.
So I think AI is really meant to be our
Mm.
our helper. And I think if we look at it that way, there'll be no problems because it is a great help. It's an amazing helper. And certain areas it helps more than others, of course, but I think anybody could benefit from AI. I mean, even if you're just looking up a recipe to cook dinner or something, there's just so much out there. It's just
Excellent.
great.
All right. Well, thanks for getting us through the buzz round and thanks for the conversation so far. It's been really insightful. Now, where can people find out more about you, about the Cards of Destiny, and maybe even reach out and say thanks for what you've shared with us today?
Our main website is cardsofyourdestiny.com. So you can go there, you can get a free reading. You can type in your birthday and you can find out what your card is for life, what your card is for this year, what your card is for this current 52-day period of your life. And they'll tell you what its meaning is. So you can kind of test it out for yourself and see, give it a test drive and see if it's accurate for you or not. And there's tons of resources on there. I have workshops, we have software, we have books, we have everything that you would need to get into this if you were interested in it. If you found an interest in it,
Excellent. All right. And
yeah,
as I said, we'll
basically.
have those links in the show notes. Now, wrapping things up today, Robert, what's a specific action you'd like the listener to take out of our conversation today?
Go look up your card and read about it. Check out that free app. It's right on the homepage of Cards of Your Destiny. Type in your birthday there and just click on the cards that it shows you, and it'll tell you something about yourself. And just check it out. See if it's interesting or not.
Yeah.
That's
All
enough.
right. Well,
That'll
that's
be great.
pretty easy to do. And we'll have that link, as I said. So, pretty clear action and won't take long.
And thank you, Jurgen, for having me on your
Yeah.
show.
Well,
On your
thanks
show, I really
so
appreciate
much,
it.
Robert, for sharing your time and your insights with us on the Innova.buzz podcast. It's been a little bit of a different topic than we often cover, but fascinating nevertheless, and something that I guess if I'm reflecting back on my life, it's something that has fascinated me since sort of my childhood in some ways, and as a scientist, I've always kind of put it left field and said it's interesting, but I'm not really sure how it fits into the mainstream science. So it's been an interesting conversation today, and I've certainly learnt some more and discovered some things that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I can tell it. I can tell you have that Aquarian brain. You do. You know, you like the future stuff. You like, and astrology is in that same category as computers and science and all that. It's the same actual category in astrology. There's a category. It's the 11th house, and it's Uranus and Aquarius.
Excellent. Right.
Just so you know, just
Wonderful. Well, thanks
thank
again,
you
Robert.
again.
Yeah. All the best for the future, and please do stay in touch.
I will. Thank you.